Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's nice to see you again. I hope that you're doing well and managing best as can be managed during this somewhat crazy and uncertain time that we're living in right now. Now, Judaism as a religion seems to be somewhat obsessed with the notion of counting. Whether it's candles on the Chanukiah or cups of wine at the Seder, we always seem to be counting something. And we're currently counting a rather peculiar period of time known as Firat HaOmer, the counting of the Omer. The Torah tells us to count 7 complete weeks, 49 days, and we begin from the second night of Passover. We keep going until the Jewish holiday of Shavuot. And the Omer was initially counted, it was considered to be an agricultural tool. Both Passover and Shavuot were intended to be agricultural holidays, and we count from the planting of the crops on Passover to when we're supposed to begin harvesting the first fruits on Shavuot. But also on Passover, we celebrate the Exodus from Egypt, culminating on Shavuot when we are commemorating Revelation and celebrating the anniversary of getting the Torah from God on Mount Sinai. And as we count each passing day from Passover to Shavuot, we're supposed to be getting more and more excited at the prospect of celebrating God's revelation at Mount Sinai. And as intrigued as I am by what we are counting with the Omer, even more fascinating to me than the counting itself is the manner in which the Omer, according to Jewish tradition, is supposed to be counted. For example, there's a rabbinic debate as to whether or not the mitzvah, the obligation to count the Omer, is to count the entire period of 49 days, right? 7 complete weeks. Or if the mitzvah is to count all 49 days, each and every day separately. According to the Sefer HaChinuch, counting all 50 days of the Omer is one single mitzvah. Which means that if you forget to count one day, then you shouldn't even bother continuing to count. Once you miss one, the entire mitzvah is off. But the Shulchan Aruch, which is one of the most authoritative law codes in Judaism, disagrees. According to Shulchan Aruch, if you forget to count one night, you should absolutely keep counting each and every following day. The counting of each and every day in and of itself is a mitzvah. And others land somewhere in the middle. They say that because the counting is somewhat suspect, if we miss one day moving forward, we should continue to count, but we shouldn't say the blessing, lest we say a bracha levatala, a blessing in vain. Now, another element of the counting of the Omer that I find fascinating is that we're actually not allowed to even mention the number of the next day of the Omer until it's time for it to be counted, because God forbid we mistakenly get ahead of ourselves and count the wrong day. And upon further reflection, I think that one of the reasons that Jewish tradition is so strict with the counting of the Omer is to remind us that each and every day that we spend waiting, each and every day we spend preparing for revelation has the potential to be just as meaningful, as beautiful, and as important as the moment of revelation itself. Now, Rashi actually tells us that while the Torah was revealed to the Israelites on Mount Sinai, each and every day the Torah continues to be revealed to all of us anew. Whatever it is that we may be counting towards when we're counting, we focus so much of our attention and anticipation on the end game. And oftentimes we skip over and overlook what may be smaller but no less meaningful moments that happen along the way. Now, it's hard to believe that today, and I guess at least Thursday, which is today for me, is actually day 48 of our stay-at-home order. But more often than not, the days, the weeks, soon to be the months, they seem to blend into one big quarantine homestay. It has been a difficult and challenging period of time for all of us, but at some point, and hopefully in the not-too-distant future, I believe that we'll all be able to look back on this period of time as a transformative one. I hope that it will be looked at as a period of time that, while difficult, provided us with perspective, with support and compassion. It helped raise awareness to serious challenges plaguing our society and motivating us, really motivating us and driving us to fix them. We'll look back at it as a time that helped us grow closer, more connected with ourselves, our communities, tradition, and God. No, I'd be lying if I didn't admit that I am counting down the days until we can gather together as a community, embrace one another and celebrate with each other in our synagogue, or at least at the very least until the preschool or summer camp can open. But in the meantime, one of the many lessons that I think that we learn from the counting of the Omer is that we not only have to accept the struggle, but also embrace the opportunity and the blessing presented in each and every day. We all hope for a return to normal, or at least the newer normal, sooner rather than later. But by taking it one day at a time, by recognizing the value in each and every moment, it gets us all one significant step closer to whatever it is that we're aspiring towards together. This way, this will help ensure that we can revel in the renewed revelation each and every day. Which is why it's my hope and prayer for all of us that as we enter this Shabbat together, that we can really appreciate the beauty and appreciate the value that is each and every moment that we have with ourselves, with our families, with one another, and with God. Wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom.